Chris Blaisdell.
Hi.
And what do you do with all that zucchini that you have at the end of summer or whenever your season is over? He's got a great recipe. Tell us about your double chocolate zucchini bread made with whole wheat and honey.
It's a recipe I found years ago, and I've adapted it to use whole wheat bread just to be a little bit healthier. And I've also cut out all the sugar that's in it.
Yay, that's great.
Yes. I use, what I use instead for sweeteners is I use sugar and I use molasses.
You don't use sugar.
No, not sugar. I use honey and molasses.
Right. And I hear it's really a dense, I know you brought it over here before, it's very dense, but it's also moist.
Yeah, it's a dense, moist bread. The double chocolate is cocoa powder and chocolate chips. The chocolate chips, once you bake them and everything, they'll be a little runny inside. So it's very soft, it's gooey, it can be messy, but it's delicious.
So you could actually hide zucchini, the kids wouldn't know it was in there.
Yes, you can.
Okay, let's get started then.
Okay, first thing we do is we turn the oven on, it's on, and then we're gonna grease the pans real quick and let them set.
The oven is heated to 350. I have a condensation, that's not condensation, what is it? Convection oven, there we go. And so we have your ingredients, you guys, molasses, baking powder, and baking soda, both of those. And you'll need, of course, Cox's honey, espresso, right? Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Okay, and
Espresso coffee.
yeah, we got whole wheat flour and flour. We'll tell you how much of each one of these, along with the vegetable oil, and of course the coveted eggs at this time of life right now. You found the only last eggs that were left on the shelves.
Okay, now since we have the pans all greased up and everything in the oven heating, the first thing I do is I always shred the zucchini first, and then as you can tell, I have a bowl with paper towel because the zucchini is very moist. So I squeeze some of the moisture out. When I get all the dry and wet ingredients mixed together, and then when I mix it, it's a very dry batter. Don't worry about that, because once you mix in the zucchini, and I'll show you, it loosens up. It gets very moist and shiny.
Right, let's start shredding then.
Pressing some of the moisture out of the zucchini, and I'll just let it set and let it drain some more. And now we'll get on to mixing all the wet stuff, and then the whole dry stuff. Mixing all the wet ingredients, and we got a cup of vegetable oil. When it requires, ask for oil and honey and or molasses. I always do the oil first, because then when you measure out the honey and the molasses, it'll pour out of the cup without sticking on the sides.
That's right out. That's the old slipperoo trick.
That's it.
And it was 4 zucchinis you used.
I used 4 zucchinis. It calls for about 2 cups. We're double the recipe. That's approximately 4 to 5 cups. Doesn't matter. Trust me. You'll see at the end. It's all good.
That's a good cook when you don't really know exactly how much. Just do it by feel.
Well, it's hard to measure wet ingredients like that. You can go by size, or you go by weight, and I go by approximate size / weight.
Okay, so that was a cup of oil.
Cup of oil. Now here we are going with the cup of Cox honey.
Look at that stuff. It's clover alfalfa. How light that is. This is the best baking honey. It's coveted by everyone, especially this time. My goodness.
Yeah.
Everybody wants their food storage. Perfect. Oh, you know how to handle those jugs. Good job. Some people don't know how to do that. It's a little trick. That's it. Experience.
Pour it in.
Do you need a spatula?
I have one.
Oh, you have?
We're good.
Prepared. So that was a cup of honey. And then next it's going to go in the molasses, and it's a cup of molasses. So it's the same equal for both.
Equal parts.
And vanilla will be next. My son-in-law's mother's from Mexico, so I have to have a Mexican vanilla.
We'll start making our own ourselves. It's cheaper. It's easy.
Yeah. You can also make wipes and hand sanitizer, just so you know. I looked at
Yeah.
the recipes to this morning. They're actually really easy to make. I don't know why everyone's freaking out. So.
No. So everybody wants the industrial now.
Yes, that's true.
Just help it along with a little hold. Now we go the eggs
And the vanilla, right?
and the vanilla. Got it?
I got it.
The recipe calls for approximately 1 teaspoon, but my teaspoons get pretty big when we're doubling it, so.
Well, my mom said it doesn't matter how much vanilla you put in, it's always good.
I agree.
She always put a little extra in everything.
Yeah. And there's so many strong flavors in this with the molasses and everything, and the zucchini that it doesn't. You really don't taste the vanilla much. Now we're adding the eggs.
That's 4 eggs because we're doubling it.
Then I got a wire whisk right here. You can use an electric mixer if you want with this. Whatever's easier, whatever's your preference. I got a big bowl, so I don't have to worry about splashing too much, so I'll do it by hand. But when you add the dry mix to it, it'll get a little hard at times, so some people will prefer electric mixer. You just mix this until it's all incorporated together, and you know, oil doesn't like to mix with everything. So it takes a little bit of time. Just once it's in, we're good to go. And now we add our dry mix. Some salt.
1 teaspoon of salt, which is double 2 teaspoons.
We're using iodized salt.
Oh,
got
it's
a
a
hole.
broken one. Well, you know we're all broken somehow, so you just have to love it and make it work.
That's it. None of us are perfect.
You got it. There. Yeah. It'll work.
Now we're going to baking soda, which is 1 each.
Yes, because it's half a teaspoon, double it.
Yep.
1 teaspoon.
And I do a little bit more on the baking soda and the baking powder because this doesn't rise as much as you think it does. But you'll see. I'll show you. That's good enough on the baking powder.
Okay.
Now here's a key that I've learned when baking with chocolate and breads and cakes and such like that is espresso powder. It brings out the cocoa flavor because powdered cocoa is high in, depending on what you get, but the good stuff is high in alkali, and the espresso cuts it down a little bit. So when we use a what do we use?
Organic.
Yeah, I got the good stuff.
So it's a teaspoon of espresso.
So we're using
half a teaspoon, but double that. So.
yeah. So, but now I did 2. Trust me, you're not going to taste it.
Okay. And it called for 1/3 a cup, which would really be 2/3 a cup. Boy, you're trying my math today.
This from a teacher. Oh, I got a 2/3 cup cocoa powder.
That's a lot of cocoa.
It's a lot of cocoa. Cocoa goes a long way. When you're making these type of sweet breads per se, you don't always have to be exact, especially when you're using other ingredients that's gonna add liquid and such like
And
that.
you had that
like
already
moisture.
measured, right?
Yeah. The flour here is already measured. I'm using 2 cups of white flour, I should say bread flour. You can use all-purpose too, but I just happen to have bread flour. Then I'm using 2 cups of whole wheat flour. That's it. Now we mix it in. Now I get to use my muscles.
I should put an apron on you.
Yeah, it's okay. I wash up.
Show them what it looks looks like.
See, this is what I mean by it gets pretty thick and dense. Make sure you scrape the sides to get everything. And then the bottom real good. Ooh, it's all incorporated.
Yes, I like how it filled there.
Yeah, you see how it's nice and incorporated, but it's also a little grainy. Don't worry about that. That's kind of, it's partly that is the whole wheat flour, but the whole wheat flour is going to absorb the moisture and cause it to expand. Now I add the zucchini, whatever.
Okay.
I'd say 5 cups of zucchini.
Alright.
Good. Let me just stir and mix it in together. See, you can hear it getting wet now with the zucchini and all the liquid from the zucchini is coming out.
See, my name's not Virginia, it's Vanna.
And kind of see the difference now, see how shiny and wet it is? That's what I mean by the moisture in the zucchini. We're good. There's the fun part, just getting it off. Whisk. It's good.
I can never figure out how to do that sometimes because the egg kind of sticks in the bottom of it, so I'm not really sure how to do that either.
There's no way. It's just zucchini strips.
So you're gonna next add, so you
Next
add
I'm gonna
chocolate
do
chips.
next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna add the chocolate chips.
There's 2 cups right here, right?
2 cups of chocolate chips. You can use whatever you like. You can use 60% cocoa, semi-sweet. You can use small ones, medium ones. I just use regular sized ones here.
This pan's heavy.
Yeah, I have
Put it in
different.
that pan and
Yep.
how many?
Let's use 3 at first.
3 pans. We're gonna try for 3. You could use
Yeah.
mini ones if you wanted to.
Yes, you can use the medium ones, but you'll have to adjust the baking time.
Oh yeah, way less.
Yeah.
And honey, you never want to have it too hot, so you never want to go over like 325 or 350. This one we're doing 350.
Right at 350.
It's a denser mixture.
Now
Oh, they're both heavy.
yeah.
Nice.
I like the cast iron because once it heats up, it cooks evenly all the way through. And if you keep them seasoned properly, like you do your Dutch ovens or your cast iron pans, they're the best things in the world. And here I
We
just
love our
added,
frying.
I just added the chocolate chips and mix it all together. You see how loose it is now? Scrape the bottom up and everything.
You're
Goes
gonna pour
pretty
those
good.
3 pans.
Yep, now I'm gonna eyeball pour. That's just me.
And our lovely assistant could even zoom in on this if she wanted
Yep.
to. Oh, I shouldn't have said surprise. Our lovely assistant. Ooh, nice. This is gonna be perfect for today because it's so windy outside. Oh, you might need a 4th one.
Nope,
Nope,
we're
no,
good.
you're good. Okay.
3's gonna work perfect for doubling the recipe.
I like your mixing bowl. So we're gonna actually put it in the oven for about an hour, 15 minutes.
We'll
right?
put it in, we'll put the timer in for an hour, and then we'll check it right at about 50 minutes, 55 minutes. Because you don't want to overcook it too.
No, you want it moist.
But again, that's the difference in between in the different cooking dishes we have. We have 1 glass and we're using 2 cast iron.
True.
And it also depends sometimes on when you, how big the recipe is, because we doubled it, we're using 3, even though the recipe actually calls, if you just use the normal ingredients, it says 1. I've never been able to get 1 pan. It's always been at least 2 pans when I've done this recipe.
And we'll use the toothpick test to see if it's done because it needs to come out clean, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And
So
here-
we'll get it in the oven and we'll be back in an hour.
here we have a finished loaf. When you take it out of the oven, it is important that you let it cool in the pan on top of the stove or on a rack before removing it from the pan. Let it cool for about 10-15 minutes, and take a sharp knife, go around the edges, then flip it over using hot pads, and you come up with this loaf.
It's super heavy, actually.
It's dense. This short
dense.
one is dense. And now we'll just cut into it, we'll show you.
I washed my hands just for 20 seconds every hour.
Yeah.
And then when you're not using it, you just wrap it in plastic wrap?
Whatever you don't use, eat up immediately. I wrap it up in plastic wrap and I put it in the fridge to keep it cooler because it is moist. In summertime, springtime, here in the desert, it can go moldy because there's no preservatives in this whatsoever.
Okay, that's a sign of good. That's a good thing if you see it moldy because that means it's really fresh.
And see, here's some close-ups of the bread. You don't see any strips of zucchini whatsoever. Do you see dense spots where the chocolate chips are at? And if you cut this before it's totally cooled, I guarantee you will have runny chocolate chips throughout it, and you'll think it's not done.
Can I go ahead and taste one of those?
Go ahead, eat to your heart's content.
I actually like the heels, believe it or not. Weird.
It's not overly sweet, but it has strong flavors.
I cannot taste the zucchini at all. It's just chocolate.
Uh-huh.
Great. Well, thank you, Chris.
You're very
welcome.
welcome.
It's been awesome.
My pleasure.
Grandchildren, did you find the bee? Look what I found. Isn't that the cutest little thing? My little granddaughter wants to wear these when she comes swimming. Please check out my Facebook page, Twitter, Pinterest. I put the recipe on Pinterest and I put it below. Share this YouTube with other people and subscribe to my channel. Encourage people to subscribe below. And I'm also on Instagram. So have a sweet day. See you later.